Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another cram-packed business breakfast show. I'm loving the new branding. Welcome to ChatBox Productions. Good morning, David. How are you, my friend?
Good morning, Nick. I'm very well. Yeah, the new colours are looking fantastic. The purples and the oranges are certainly giving us that jazzy morning and making us look fresh and new.
Jazzy morning. That's what I like. That's right. Welcome to the jazzy morning. So much to talk about. Lots and lots of questions for our lovely guests, and some subjects that we simply can't avoid.
Yeah, it's been a big week, isn't it? Sporting weekends with Wimbledon. But I suppose the one that sits at the top of the tree that everyone is still talking about. And there's many upset. And of course, there's lots of people out there who are celebrating joy as well. Because if you were Italian, you would be loving the result from Sunday. Yes, I sat there, I tuned in, I had my Apple Watch on, and believe it or not, my heartbeat increased dramatically during that penalty shootout. And I love football. I'm not a huge fan, but I do love getting behind the nation. But it was a sad time. We did so well. We were so close. They nearly brought it home, but sadly, it wasn't our time.
Mate, shush, you're bringing me down all over again.
I was trying to make it dramatic. I was trying to build up.
We were buzzing, right? We were excited. Zach was going to the game. The expectations were high, and massively proud of the team. And saw a post this week on LinkedIn from our friend of the show, Keith Smith, who is going to be coming onto the show in August. By the way, check out Keith's podcast, his Fuel podcast. Definitely worth a listen. And we're going to be on it at some point very, very soon.
Oh, yes.
And he mentioned, massive pride before the final, and we should be incredibly proud after the final. We watched it, mate. We're not Italian. We saw the penalty shootout, and unfortunately, game of football, we didn't win. So what was your response after the penalty shootout, mate? Did you go onto social media and unleash vitriol and hatred and abuse? Is that what you did, mate?
No. I didn't even go on to social media afterwards. I was a little bit, probably like many people, kind of a little bit, wow, has that really just happened? And I'll be honest, it was, it's time for bed. It was getting late. And I mean, I'm not a big, I like, obviously we use social media for the show and I communicate on social media and put good stuff out there and share great messages. But unlike some, the very small minority, I'm not one to go on there and put, comments. And even, I know a lot of it's been about racist comments and stuff like that, but I haven't gone on, I wouldn't even go on there and put a comment and say, tough luck, guys. I would want, if I was going to do it, it's going to be positive. It'll be great feedback. And come on, we can do this, because that's what business is built on as well. We've got to get behind what we believe in. And you're not going to win every time. You're not going to succeed every time. Things don't always go to plan. And every now and then you get knocked down and you get up again. There's a song there, isn't there? But I'm not going to sing.
There is. And there's a question for the audience, right? Let's put it in a business perspective. Okay. When was the last time, or how often do you lose your penalty shootout? And what do you do about it? Right? The amount of times, if in business, I've lost my penalty shootout and gutted, but learned some lessons and move on. I led a team through a bid and a pitch, right? And pitching is my kind of thing, right? Presenting, and we rehearsed and we did everything in theory, or in my head, correctly. We went in, we pitched, it went well, it felt good, and we didn't win the business. It was ultimately down to me. I was the Gareth Southgate of the time. And the people that won the business just went in and had a conversation with the clients, and we pitched far more formally. And I guess they wanted a conversation. It's the future after all.
It is the future of conversation, the home of conversation, as we are now branding ourselves here, Nick, in the ChatBox production studio. We are the future and the home of conversation. So look, the football was a little bit sad, but the World Cup is coming. And, I'm sure we can be victorious come next year. So, of course, we've now got to qualify and go through the whole pain of getting there yet again. But I think we will. I think we're going to come back stronger. We're going to come back braver. And, let's be honest. I'm sure there's lots of people out there listening to the show here, talking about football and stuff like that. Did Gareth Southgate do a good job? ? In my eyes, what a manager. What a team coach. Leading from the front, supporting everybody in the team. And that's what business to me is about. You've got to lead, you've got to support, you've got to show everybody the way to success. And along that journey, there'll be bumps, there'll be obstructions, there's going to be obstacles. But it's how we do it together. So there we go. That's our summary of the football, Nick. Some comments coming in. So good morning, Sharon. Welcome. Good to have you back on the show this week. He did an amazing job. There you go. So we are getting that feedback that, yes, I assume you're talking about Gareth there. Sir Gareth, maybe, potentially. I think you might have to go a little bit further. Yeah,
you heard it here first, right? You heard it here first. Let's all start calling him Sir. And
Sir Gareth. Yeah, absolutely. So, Nick, what else has been happening out there? Obviously, there's lots of great stuff happening, besides the football. What have you been? Freedom Day. There's a really big one that's approaching very quickly.
It's I've got a question for you, mate. So, Freedom Day, right? Confirmed. Next, whatever, the 19th. I seem to be stopped calling it Freedom Day, but right, 19th, you can do more stuff. Right. My big question, what exactly are you going to be doing differently on the 19th that you're not doing now? What's your strategy?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I was listening to a bit of talk radio yesterday, and they were talking about, obviously, Freedom Day and the wearing of masks. Will you, when you're out and about, wear your mask outside still? Are you going to do you wear your mask outside at the moment anyway? Are you going to relax and remove it totally? Are you going to wear your mask when you enter to a shop, be it one of your supermarkets or a local independent store, or when you're out shopping? Will you wear your mask when going in and out of those premises? And the other question is London Underground. They're not making it law. And this is Transport for London, so it includes all the trains and everything inside London. They're not making it law, but they're leaving it to your discretion whether you wear a mask, but it's basically advisable. So really, they're kind of saying it is law, but we're not going to make it law, because if you decide not to wear it, that's absolutely fine. We won't fine you for it, but everyone else is being told to wear a mask. Quite controversial, really. So will you wear a mask on the Underground, where it's a lot more packed and confined, maybe getting on and off that bus? Do you feel brave enough to be the one that doesn't wear that mask and everybody else is?
I don't think it's anything to being brave, mate. It's I think it's common courtesy, surely. If you're in an enclosed space, put a bloody mask on, all right? Just so everyone else feels a bit more relaxed. It's a bit confusing. I'm a bit confused by the messages at the moment. So I'm interested to see what happens. I know in certain venues, all right, I'll be the only one wearing a mask. But in others, I think there'll be, if you and I go for a cup of coffee, right, and whilst we're sitting at the table, we've not got our masks on, but when we get up to go to the toilet, I'll put my mask on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And slam me down if you wish, but I'm going to be wearing my mask.
Yeah. And people are putting into the comments, they're going to carry on wearing their masks, but I'm sure there's anti-mask people out there and, anti-vaxxers and stuff like that who are going to go, mask off, it doesn't do anything. It's a big debate. And of course, everyone has opinions, just like we have other things as well. You can choose and decide. It's your life as well. But think about the others around you. I suppose that's all we're kind of asking at the end of the day. Who are we to be God and dictate, Nick?
If you're an anti-masker, we want to hear from you. I didn't know that was a thing, mate. Anti-maskers.
So what does Freedom Day mean to you? Will you be doing something different? Will you be changing, the things that you do when you do them? What's it mean to your business? Here's the big question mark. Is it going to bring more people through the door? Is it going to allow you to open up even more and offer more things? What does it mean to you as a business owner? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Do you think we're opening up too early? Holland, the Netherlands, have seen a 500% increase, 500% since they've opened up fully. And it's already being, looked at as frowned upon, that they were just a little bit too quick. Are we going to see the same results here in the UK?
It'd be nice, mate, to get back to normal, wouldn't it? I'm speaking at an event next week. It's going ahead.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm on stage in my slippers, mate, next week. Very excited about that.
The slippers, Nick and I have spoken about it. Nick's going to be there first by the sounds of it, but next time we're on stage, it's got to be slippers. Flip-flops for me. I spent a lot of my time in lockdown living abroad, where it's a lot warmer, and it's going to be shorts and flip-flops. That'll be an interesting take on a presentation and a pitch that particular day. One last thing, Nick, before we kind of bring our first guest on of the morning.
Very excited about our guests, by the way. I'm a massive people person. I got lots of questions for them.
Oh,
yes, mate.
Yeah, so the last thing to kind of wrap off this first session of the morning is, have you been pinged on the COVID app, on the NHS app, when you're checking in, be it to your coffee shops, your restaurants, your pubs, wherever it is that you're up to and out and about? Have you been pinged? Have you had that you've got to go and isolate message, even though you feel fine and, to you just feel absolutely normal? Obviously, that's hopefully going to be changing going forwards as well. You'll be able to do a test and you won't have to isolate. Obviously, all the restrictions around travel starting to change. Amber becomes much more relaxed. If you've booked your holiday to Ibiza or the Balearics and you booked it because you thought you're going to get there and back, you might be asking your travel company for some money back because it might be going to red. And you might not be able to travel. Or if you do, you're going to have to go and live in a hotel for 2 weeks and pay silly amounts of money.
I'm looking forward to one of our breakfast shows where we don't mention the C word at all. It's not even. It's like we don't talk about Brexit anymore. It'd be lovely, wouldn't it, when we get to a point and we don't even talk about it.
2026, guys, when you tune in, we'll be different. Right, okay, let's get the show on the road. Let's welcome on our first guests. We have two lovely ladies joining us in the virtual studio this morning. We have Victoria and Nia, both from Proud Consulting. Good morning to you both. Welcome to the virtual studio. Let me just reconfigure this. Good morning, Victoria. We're going to pop you in centre stage. No particular reason, but we will shuffle you around. So good morning and welcome.
Morning.
Great to have you with us this morning. And I know Nick's got lots of questions that we're going to be just kind of finding out a little bit more about who you are, what you both get up to, what the business does, and maybe any top tips that you can share with us this morning that our listeners, viewers can walk away with today and start implementing or thinking about for their business. So I think we kind of start the nitty gritty and kind of find out a little bit more about you both. So Victoria, tell us a little bit more about yourself, and you're the founder and one of the directors of Proud Consulting.
She's the boss, man. She's the boss.
I'm the boss, the boss woman. So I founded Proud Consulting just over 2 years ago. So after a long career in Deloitte Consulting, I really just wanted to found my own patch of the world to bring people HR consulting support, basically. So everything around leadership, culture, talent management, how do you manage in a hybrid workforce, all in that space, essentially. And Nia is my wonderful employee who makes everything happen.
I hear Nia does all the work, Victoria. Is that true, Nia? You're doing all the work.
We share
it. You do a whole range of people-focused services, Victoria. That must have been a massive shift over the last 15 months. So you found the company in a pre-COVID time, and you and I share a kind of a roots. I've done a lot of work at Deloitte, and you spent a lot of time at Deloitte, and they've turned around and say everybody can work from wherever they want. From an HR people person perspective, must have been huge shifts. All businesses probably scratching their heads now and going, what do we do? How do we keep our people connected?
Massively. And I think the biggest thing is they all want to know what everyone else is doing. And everyone assumes that everyone else has got the perfect answer. But I mean, I can tell you they haven't. The biggest and the best are still struggling through a number of things because, I do think what Deloitte have done and what others have done, basically adopting a hybrid workforce where you have the choice, has got to be the future, is the future. COVID has only accelerated, the future of work. It was coming anyway. This isn't a new thing. It's accelerated what I think is a really good move away from presenteeism, away from this notion that, you're not being productive if I can't see you at a desk 9 to 5. That's just not the way work happens. But I think ultimately adopting to that, calls out so many more complications than people realize. It's not just giving everyone what they need to work from home. How do you manage people who always want to come in and those who don't? And managers that might say, well, I want to see my team, and I think that is important. And those who don't care, it's a real mindset shift for people to get round.
Absolutely. Now, Victoria, obviously yourself and Nia are in, I assume, in different places, and you're not walking through the door and Nia's sitting next door. You're at different locations, different premises. So I assume working from home. Do you have an office, or do you work from home, and that is kind of your ethos going forwards? And good question about how do you manage people? How do you two collaborate, work together, support each other, and work with your customers and clients as well?
So we do predominantly work from home, but we also have a base in the city that we can use. So we go in sort of once a week, and we really use that now, which is where I think, the office space of the future is going to move to. That is for us to collaborate and work together, where we really need to be, bits of paper all over the place, Post-its, planning stuff, and when we've got something we really need to work through, we don't go in there to sit heads down at our laptops. And a lot of the clients we're working with are now realizing it's not just about office space. It's about how is your office space now physically going to need to change to encourage people to use it for different reasons when they come in. Don't come in and be head down at your laptop. Come in because you need to engage with people. And that actually drives a lot of innovation and creativity, which I think we found because, I talk a lot, as you can tell. So Nia probably enjoys the fact that when we're not together, she can get stuff done. If we sat next to each other every day, I think it's harder. So when we do come together, we really use that time much more efficiently.
I think there is a massive shift, as you say, in how we use our space and those opportunities when we can get together. Redefine what collaboration really kind of looks like, and it's got to make a difference to companies' culture. Right? And I know you do a lot of work with. You've got a product. It's a Wayfinder, isn't it? And that doesn't just assess culture, but it helps companies kind of form the right kind of culture for them. Have you already started to see culture shifts within businesses, and is Wayfinder kind of proving useful in that?
Culture is the number one biggest topic that everybody asks us about. It's our number one thing that clients come for help on. It's nebulous, it's really tricky. If we all gave our definition now of culture, we'd all probably say something very different. Changing culture is not something you do overnight. But with Wayfinder, I've delivered culture transformation in FTSE 10 for years at Deloitte, and it's still very difficult. With Wayfinder, we tried to make it accessible, breaking it down into easy kind of chunks that people can talk about more easily in their organization. But it's very holistic. You can't just look at people's behavior. If you have technology that's on and off all the time and doesn't work, that affects culture. If you have a leadership team that just don't really communicate well enough what the vision and the strategy is, that affects culture. It's everything. And you've got to kind of, look at all the different parts. And that's really what we do with Wayfinder. But we try to be flexible. I'm not into big diagnostic, pay consultants, loads of money to come in for weeks to tell you a load of stuff that some of it you probably already knew. It's much more, we have a model, we believe it's brilliant, our clients believe it's brilliant, but we'll be flexible with how we use it. If you want to use it in a session with your team instead of sending out lots of surveys, then let's do that and let's make it work for you.
Do you think culture has changed since the pandemic started? Everyone was forced. These are the only words we can really use to work from home. Now, I've worked from home for many, many years because a lot of my business was done kind of on the road, remotely at client sites, etc. But my office for the last 9 years has been home-based, home office-based, which I love because it gives me more time with my family and more time for myself. But one of my previous businesses, we had locations kind of globally. So we were traveling. The reason I kind of sold out of that, because I was hopping on a plane to South Africa, hopping on a plane to the Middle East, North America, traveling. But since we've kind of been forced and locked down, do you think people's ideas, their processes, the culture of the businesses have adopted and changed to suit that?
Yeah, I do to a degree. I think the hardest thing has been leaders and managers getting used to managing their teams, remotely, and having to really find different ways of doing that, and everybody's having to do that. Leadership visibility is very difficult now. you're not coming in the office and seeing, the main man or woman walking around and catching 5 minutes with them. You're not, but there's that lovely human element now. Everyone's got the dog and kids in the background. Everyone's got stuff going on. I think the alternative, though, the flip of that is there are people that, really suffer from working from home as well. There's a huge drive now, like we've never seen, around anxiety and well-being, safety at home. Some people, it's literally just, not the best place for them to be all day at home for a number of reasons. And, organizations have to struggle to balance all those different things. But managing people and avoiding culture erosion is what I call it, when you're not together, is quite difficult. Also, onboarding people who are new, who then aren't actually going to meet anyone for months potentially. It's a lot to figure out. It's a lot that it's a lot of opportunity for us in a way as well.
Everybody's learning. I think this kind of the new way of things. I was at an event last week, and some members of the team hadn't met, and they'd been employed for over a year, and they'd not met, other members of the team. So that's tough. So I think there's going to be a lot more kind of events where it's going to be less business focused and more people focused, which tends to make sense. And how are you coping with it, Nia? The company's quite new, and then you're thrust into this environment where you've got to work from home. Is it easy to get stuff done, or are you like me and get quite distracted?
I mean, I've adjusted to it very well. I started at Proud Consulting working from home, and we've been doing that so far. I think one of the main things that's worked really well for us is just staying connected all the time. Me and Vic constantly communicate over different channels, and that's really helped me get my work done. If I have any question, I immediately approach her and ask her. So that's worked really well for us. And I think it's really important for any other company out there to just try and keep that communication with their people, so that collaboration is still enabled, even though you're not actually together in the office. And just having those like random, they call it water cooler conversations, so that you still catch up during the day, say, okay, well, how are you doing? How's your day going? It's not just about work, it's that human element as well. So yeah,
I think that you manage to create that environment where you can have kind of unscheduled conversations, those water cooler moments. I know back in Deloitte, and I spoke about it on a previous show, a lot of their office spaces were designed around those communal spaces, because they wanted to encourage unscheduled conversations. And my fear of everybody working from home is everything's scheduled, it's all structured, it's all quite formal. Zoom, it's Teams. I'm really fed up. People are getting stuff done, but they're not having the conversations in and around and business. But it sounds like you two or Proud Consulting, between you've cracked that.
I think it's just, there's so much technology. Sorry, Nia, there's so much technology you can use now. You just got to, go out and have a look. There's Slack, there's other things that mean you can chat all the time, really.
Do you open up? Do you sometimes go, well, we don't really have any thing to work on, but let's just have a be it a Zoom call, a Teams call, whatever platform. Let's just join and just have a water cooler chat. How's things going? What you up to? Not so much necessarily focusing on an idea or business, but just to keep the channels communicating. Do you do that sometimes? Just jump on a call? It could be a phone call. That was the old-fashioned way, wasn't it? Our phones on, have a chat with them. Now,
the phone. Yeah.
What's that these days? It's now, should we Zoom? Or should we Teams, or whatever the analogy is?
We do. Yeah, we do all the time. And I think, I get tired of Zoom, right? When you're on the camera, and I don't know, everyone's getting a bit tired of it. I interrupt Nia's day all the time out and about just for a chat about different things. And we work really closely. We've got a really close relationship. So we're also talking about our lives, what's going on today, who's picking up the kids, who's, what's going on with the dog. I can hear Nia's dog snoring in the background all the time. Yeah. You're kind of in each other's life a lot as well, which is good.
Yeah. Did you know each other before you started working together, or did you meet virtually? Oh, no, because you started before pandemic. So you obviously met and then kind of went into
we did,
but we didn't know each other. No, it was all it was very lucky kind of fate thing, actually, that we found each other at the right time. It really was.
LinkedIn connected us, actually.
Sorry, what was that, Nick?
LinkedIn connected us.
LinkedIn, wow, that's a great endorsement for LinkedIn. LinkedIn, we are streaming live. If you're listening to this, there's an endorsement for you. that they got connected on LinkedIn. So you're finding it different now. Obviously, you started working together pre-pandemic. Now you're probably getting together now. You're managing to meet up, because you said you meet up once a week and get the creativity flowing and stuff like that as well. Do you think it's more challenging now than it ever has been? From the clients you're working with as well?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going through the different challenges right now. Like Vic said, culture is on the agenda of everyone, but yeah, everyone is struggling with a different problem. So we are really just trying to meet with clients either still virtually or in person, and we really try to tailor our solution to what they're experiencing at the moment, because you can't apply the same method to everyone. Everyone's company is different. How they work every day is different. So you really got to be out there, find out what they're experiencing, talk to the people within the company, and then go from there.
It is about conversations after all. And picking up on something you said, Victoria, it must be challenging for leaders. And I know you do a lot of work with leadership teams. I saw a stat recently. I think 75% people quit their boss, not their job. So I think it must, and if you're not in the office with all of your team, it must be very, very difficult as a leader to kind of really explore where the business should go between you.
Definitely. I think it tests that kind of that EQ piece, more and more. And we are all learning, but for me personally, I think it's a good shift that we've had to adopt. This is some of the blessings of COVID in a way. That the future of work, the term we keep hearing, that shift that we've now made, it's just been massively accelerated. It was coming slowly. It's huge. And I think for leaders, definitely, there's no kind of smart office to hide behind now. There's no door to shut. There's no, expensive suit to kind of bolster the ego. It's really about, we're all just at home. We're all kind of having to get down into what can be really difficult. And as a leader, you've got to be really reaching out. And adopting a different way of engaging your team.
Now, Nia, final question for yourself before we come back to Victoria, just to give us maybe some top tips. And you can be honest here, we're all friends now. Is Victoria a good leader? As we're talking.
Yeah.
She's an amazing leader. Yeah, I see Victoria.
Imagine if she turns around and goes, "No, it's bloody awful." Oh my God.
I don't know. Also, I think Victoria is amazing. In many ways, I see her as my mentor. We get along really, really well. It's actually quite funny. We have these performance and development chats every now and again, and they're always quite awkward because neither I nor she has any feedback for each other. So we're always just kind of singing praises. Everything's great with me and her.
That's your culture that you've developed and built together. So fantastic. Thank you very much, Nick. Victoria, we always like to kind of ask our guests, as well as tell us who you are and what you do, but maybe a top tip that you could leave people with today, something that's kind of a bit of a freebie, as I like to call it, something they could think about, maybe some experience that you've sort of learned over many years of doing what you do. What would be one tip that you could leave our listeners today?
I mean, the one tip is really just don't assume anything around what your guys on the ground, no matter how many you've got, if you've got 5, if you've got 50, if you've got 500, don't assume what you think you know because of what you've seen. You've really got to look, you've really got to ask people how they're feeling, what's really going on, not just at that manager level, all the way down, through the ranks of the organization, and listen. And that doesn't mean you can respond to everyone's needs, because you can't, and that's the reality of business. But you can show people that you've listened and let them know as much as you can what that direction of travel looks like when we're in times of such ambiguity, because that's the biggest thing. It's just lack of communication. It's, even if it's not the best, news to give, keep communicating with people, let them know what's going on, let them know that you're also worried or feeling that fear. We've all got to show vulnerability at times. So talk to your guys, don't assume anything. That would be it, really.
Brilliant. Nia, Victoria, it's been a pleasure having you on here today. But before you do go and say goodbye, if someone wants to get in touch with you, Victoria, what's the best way to find you? It could be LinkedIn. Do you have an email address, a website? Where can we steer people towards?
The best thing really is the website. I mean, we're everywhere. We're LinkedIn, we're Twitter. You can find us, Proud Consulting, whatever you click on. LinkedIn, we're on there a lot. But the website really, proud-consulting.co.uk.
Brilliant. And there's great feedback coming into the box. David Bancroft, really interesting conversation with Nia and Victoria. They're loving what you're talking about.
Thank you for having us.
James O'Rourke's put there saying he's used Meebo for informal meetings for small groups. It's very relaxed and fun. I think they have a Nintendo there as well, a Nintendo Wii. They're a bit dated now, Nintendo Wii's, but hey ho, never mind. Once again, Victoria, Nia, thank you very much for joining us on the show this morning. You can sit back in the green room, enjoy the rest of the show, and hopefully you'll have a great day and enjoy the weekend. The heat wave is upon us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for
See you
joining.
soon, guys.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Nick, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go to a quick ad break, and when we're back, we're going to talk M&Ms.
Oh, yeah. Great conversations and great top tip, right? Don't assume. Speak to your people and listen. Actively listen. Turns out that's quite tough, mate, to really listen. In this day and age, I talk about active listening. It's with your ears, your eyes, and your heart, and that takes some getting used to. But yeah, great conversations. It's the future. I knew it. Conversation is the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what this show's all about, conversation. So if you're watching us on Facebook, if you're watching us on LinkedIn, maybe you're watching us on YouTube, we are here every week from Thursday morning, 8 a.m. through to 9 a.m. But guess what, Nick? We're getting close. The late night show is upon us soon. We will be streaming live across the nation, around the world and beyond. Our green friends might be tuning in. We're going to turn it on its head a little bit. We're going to still be talking some business stuff, but we're going to go a bit beyond that, aren't we, Nick? We're going to go dive a little bit deeper.
Absolutely, mate. Broader conversations. Sounds a bit fruity, doesn't it? But yeah, a later show, broader subjects, so much to talk about, the stuff going on. And some of it will be about business, but other stuff will just simply be about life. What's going on in the world? What's going on in your world? How on earth are you doing that? Coping with that? So it'd be a different kind of feel, different range of guests, lots of different subjects. It's going to be great. My God, bring it on.
Yeah, so watch out for that coming to a screen near you. We're just putting the final touches. We're organising our VIP guest list because we will be getting guests onto the show. So if you want to come on to maybe the Business Breakfast Show or maybe the late night show with Nick and Dave, what you need to do is pop some put into the comments or drop us an email or tweet us or put something in Facebook, something like that. However you want to get in touch, you can email us if you wish to do so. The email address is on your screen now, hello@chatboxproductions.com. You can go to our new shiny website launched earlier this week, chatboxproductions.com. Everything you need to know is there. There's a sign up page. Just fill it in. Let us know that you want to be on the show or what show. There's the options to tick there. It'd be great to get you on and find out a little bit more about who you are and what you do and how you're making a difference and possibly changing the world as well. Wow. Good morning, Maxine. Welcome. Maxine, I haven't seen you for years. Maybe we'll get you on the show, Maxine. I know you've got some interesting stories to share and tell. It'd be great to get you on here and share some of your stories and stuff.
One of the loveliest people you could ever meet, I think. What a fabulous... It'd be great to get Maxine on the show. She is lovely. Hi, Maxine. Lovely to see you. Hope you're very well. Mate, when we kind of transition into more shows, are we going to be able to tell the world that we are a world record beating show?
Absolutely. Yes.
Tell us that share the drama of the M&M world record attempt. So for those people that haven't seen before, don't know what we're talking about, M&M world record. Recently, the world record for stacking M&Ms one on top of the other was broken. It was 4, and then some chap broke it and managed to stack 5 M&Ms on top of each other. We talked about it, used it as a metaphor for business. It looks quite easy, turns out to be tough. And I set David the challenge to just, as simple as this, just break that blooming world record.
Yeah,
Take it, mate.
Well, you know, there's a few challenges. I was in isolation for a period of time, so I only managed to get out on Monday. Got me M&Ms, as I just kind of demonstrated to you here. They have to be the chocolate M&Ms because I found out peanut ones and salted caramel don't stack because they're like eggs. So I got the bag of M&Ms. Unfortunately, I've probably eaten more than I've stacked, but I've been practicing. I've been trying, and I've made some real good headway. I need to probably, you know, spend a little bit more time, a little bit more practice. But guess what, Nick? Look.
Way!
It's in there.
Six M&Ms. Six M&Ms, mate.
And guess what? Look, I've even got the proof. It's here. Look, see, I've got six.
I'm not sure that's allowed, mate. They look a bit sticky. Well, I don't think the Guinness Book of World Records is going to be knocking on your door. What's happened there?
Well, I'll be honest, it's tougher than it looks. I think I managed to get two, and the third one would go on. But I did find if you make them a little bit damp, it creates a bit of abrasion, so they tend to stick a little bit better. If they're slidey, they just drop off each other. So, you know, look, it's a learning curve. I'm going to keep working on it. I've got plenty of M&Ms to keep me going. Okay, so I'll do some videos. I'm going to do some progression. Because I'm sure the guy that got the world record of 5, by the way, and we showed his little video, I'm sure he didn't do it overnight. I'm sure there's been months and months of practice. So I'll keep going, and I'll keep you updated on future shows.
I thought we were there.
Anyway, Nick.
Yes.
It's time to get our next guest onto the show. He's been sitting back stage very patiently, and I think it's time to find out more about our next guest. Before we do, we're going to have a quick ad break. When we come back, we're going to bring our next guest on and find out more about who they are, what they do, and why they do it. And here he is live in the studio, joining us from his home office. We'll talk about your home office in a very short while, Iain. But Mr. Iain Wicks, good morning, Iain.
Good morning.
Now, Iain, we've known each other for quite a long while. We're digging a little bit into the history and how we kind of come to meet and stuff like that. And I know you've got some quite interesting stories to share and things like that. And I'm going to just prime you, Iain, because I'm going to see the old eyes roll at this point. Can we talk about your shed in a little while?
We can talk about the shed, David. I'm well versed on talking about the shed. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. The reason I'm mentioning that, because if you're just joining in, don't go anywhere. We're not going to talk about the shed until maybe coming up to the hour. It's going to keep you hooked because you want to know about Iain's shed, and there is a great story that sits behind it.
So this show's got everything, mate. We're going to be talking about the shed. We've stacked some M&Ms. I don't know why we have not got more viewers. Are people leaving in droves, or are they joining in droves?
M&M will be the failure of success in the end, absolutely. Iain, so let's dive a little bit in. Obviously, since we first met, you've gone on and transitioned, and you have some awesome business experience from building businesses, supporting many businesses in a role that you were very adverse to for a number of years, and now you are again back to supporting and helping and guiding and putting other businesses on the map. But tell us a little bit more about Iain and what you're currently up to.
So we're currently up to running our marketing and PR business. So my business, shameless plug, Stonehouse Communications, which I formed with my partner Rachel. We incorporated in September 2017 and started trading in May 2018. So if you do the math with that, we've been trading for just over 2 years, because last year we're not kind of counting for obvious reasons. And we've sort of tumbled into a niche of professional services, property, finance, and those sorts of industries. Mostly small businesses, but we've worked with one or two enterprises as well. And we're very much we're a little tiny team of two, that often comes out okay, but it's a bit of a tongue twister. And there's a very good reason for that, is because we like to work with quite a small group of clients, and all of our clients have a name, not a number. And for us and for them, that's really important. That allows us really to get to know who we're working with, you know, what makes them tick, what makes their businesses tick, why they're doing it. And when we understand that really well, we can market their business really effectively and properly, you know, because we can speak for them. You know, we understand their language, we understand what they want to achieve, and all of that sort of thing. So that's kind of what we do. You know, as I said, marketing and PR. So very much inbound marketing. So digital marketing, media, public relations, all of the digital lead generation stuff. So, you know, anything Google, and now working with as a HubSpot service provider as well, which is great. So, you know, we've come along. It's really fascinating, actually, the industry. It's come along so far in the last few years, but even in the last 2 or 3 years, the level of technology that's being introduced and integrated into our industry is unbelievable. You know, there's a big chunk of artificial intelligence built into my business, you know, and as I said, we're a team of 2, so it is quite amazing. If you're an anorak, some of this techie stuff now will, you know, make the hair on the back of your neck stand on end. It's quite amazing. So part of my business is now run by robots.
I've got some questions for you, Iain, about that, because you're talking about your business. It's 2 of you, so you can keep it personal, get to know your clients by name. Do you know, by the way, we have 330 mutual connections on LinkedIn, you and I.
I didn't know that. I guessed it would be quite a few.
Yeah, that's. I was looking, 330 mutual connections. Welcome, our mutual connections. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. So the question is, in this digital noise, and your marketing PR agency will help us get through that noise. How do you keep it personal? How does your robot keep it kind of advertising personal?
Well, we instruct the robots, but our robots are reasonably antisocial. So the key is for us to both build those relationships with our clients. So, you know, from the first contact, we talk to people. You know, we communicate with people. Of course, at the moment, a lot of it's been via Zoom, so there's this sort of digital barrier in the way at the moment. But it's actually having conversation, you know, between real human beings, and that's absolutely key to it. You know, we're like you, and I've written blogs and articles about the harm that email can do to productivity and all of that sort of thing. So, you know, I'm of course a fan of social media and digital. That's what my business is all about. However, everything is all about driving people towards building relationships. So we start by building relationships. We continue building those relationships with our clients. And we want our clients ultimately to be building relationships with their clients. And our marketing is the vehicle to help them do that.
Didn't it, Iain, if we cast our minds back, I can't remember exact year, but I want to say about 2010, maybe slightly before that is when we probably first met. It could be 2011, somewhere around that period.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And you were working in a role for the Federation of Small Businesses, something I know you're still very, very supportive of. I'm obviously have a supportive role in that as well. And it's something you did for a number of years, supporting SMEs of and micro business as well, so small one-man bands through to more established business throughout the whole of Essex and beyond as well. And something you did a fabulous job at doing. And during that time, you run some great events. And I want to cast your mind back. I think it was 2016 to a really well put on, polished event called Witness the Birth of a Business, something that you initially come up with and run in the earlier days as well. 2012, I think, was the first casting of it. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit more about that event and how you feel that impacted on small businesses.
So we evolved that from something relatively straightforward. The purpose, the objective of it was obviously to provide support, information, knowledge, networking opportunities for small businesses. So we kind of evolved that into almost a theatre event, and I knew you were going to ask me about this, so I've reminded myself of one or two of the things that we got up to. And one of the highlights for me was the stress balls that we asked. So we had a room full of I think it was 200 or 300 people. We had a room full of people, business people, students, work that were doing enterprise type qualifications, business studies, that sort of thing. And one of the highlights was, rather than stick your hand up and hope you get called to ask a question, is everybody got to write their questions down on the stress balls and chuck them at you at the front, while I was stage left as the loyal member of staff watching you get stuff thrown at you, which was brilliant. But we ran that as almost a sort of show, so we created a persona, we created a business, we created a range of scenarios and brought in experts for our entrepreneur to talk to on the stage and ask questions. And it was kind of loosely scripted. You were the guide through it all, as you'll recall, I'm sure. I was really keen to do something that wasn't the normal, that was a bit more innovative and a bit more exciting for people and entertaining. And I think we, from the feedback, we achieved that. So yeah, I mean, if one business owner can take away one piece of information that helps them grow their business and create employment, as far as I'm concerned, that's job done. And I think we did that many times over with those events. So
really, this is really convenient. But I have a little video clip. This is how we haven't scripted this. Iain knew nothing about this coming, but we kind of knew where we wanted to drive this, and we got a little video clip and how the stress balls all come around. Let's see that video clip now. 30 seconds. Here we go.
Oh, we are lively this morning, which is great because we're going to have some fun today.
So I've got this ball and I throw it to a young lad across the way, a young German lad as it turns out. What are you going to do? He catches it and he throws it back. Great. I then throw it to someone else. Then something tiny but magical happened. I threw it to someone and they threw it to someone else.
There we go. That was a 30-second abstract from what was absolutely a fantastic day and well thought through and well organised. And Mr. Nick Luby was the star of the show on that day as well. He started the ball throwing exercise.
Don't we look young? We look young.
Look what lockdown does to you, because that weren't that long ago.
No, great experience, great fun, and a very lively audience. And you almost think to yourself afterwards, thinking, giving a load of youngsters stress balls to throw at people on stage, that's a recipe for disaster, but worked amazingly. Really, really good fun. And you're right, Iain, massively innovative, and it gave people permission to think differently about business and how they're going to progress through this these choppy business waters. And we've had loads of people on the show so far, so youngsters who have started businesses and really kind of cutting through some very difficult areas without having a second thought. No concern at all. Just plow on, get it done. Amazing.
Yeah, Iain, what do you think we could do that again? Like there's the three of us sitting here. We're all involved. Wouldn't it be?
Look at Iain's face.
There's no copyright on this. There's no copyright. We might have to rebrand it slightly, of course. But it'd be great to do something like that again. We're allowed, as of next week, normality is going to hopefully start to restore. We could do something later this year and roll that again. We could get people don't know about the story behind that, but it was about two young entrepreneurs, and they generally were two young entrepreneurs, Ben and Rebecca, who come up with an app. And the app is like Minecraft, but it was for learning. And we got them on, and they were Ian was talking about the persona. They were the real entrepreneurs, but we had 2 actors that played them, and then we brought them on. At the end, honestly, it was good enough for Hollywood. It was so well scripted and organised and planned, and it flowed. I think we should do it again, Ian, but maybe we get Ben and Rebecca back, and I've spoken to them recently, and see if they'd come back on the show and talk about that experience. They're a little bit older now. You think we look older? Well, they've obviously, they were students at school at the time. What do you reckon, Ian? You up for the challenge?
I don't see why not. We could give it a bash. We've done it before, so we understand the pressure points of it now, I think. I've got one. My partner is one hell of a project manager, and she won't thank me for this.
Well, you might not thank her actually either, because she did put a comment, and I've left it to this moment to kind of share. She put, "Yes, ask about the sheds." So come on, you were saying all the nice things about her, and she's dropped you right in that deep end. So yeah, tell us about the shed, Ian.
So we have quite a long garden here. We're really lucky where we live. Behind we're surrounded by fields, and behind our house is nothing but fields and woodland. This is all kind of wrapped up in COVID as well. Last February, I think it was, we went to Spain. We took all the advice. The advice at the time was, where you're going down south, there is no COVID. And at the time it was a problem elsewhere. Where you're going is completely fine. Crack on sort of thing, as long as you don't go anywhere near Barcelona or Madrid. So off we went. Long story short with that is we arrived on the Friday, everything fine on the Friday. Saturday morning, Spain closed and went into lockdown. We got out on our scheduled flight. It was the last Ryanair flight back from Malaga. In actual fact, we thought we were going to wind up at your place at one point.
I remember.
Yeah. Got home. And then 2 days later, I started coughing. So I spent a week in quarantine. I wasn't, I was lucky. I wasn't very ill at all. My kids, for various shielding reasons, stayed at their mum's house for 4 months. So they weren't here. So it was me, Rachel, and Tess, who's Rachel's daughter. So we had the weekend in the middle. I wasn't feeling very unwell, so they kind of chucked my shoes and stuff outside. I came downstairs without touching anything and went out in the garden to mow lawn and trim the hedges and all of that sort of thing. Did what I needed to do, finished the day up, went back into my cave, back into quarantine. And that evening I was sat talking to my son on FaceTime. And all of a sudden I hear Rachel shouting, saying, "The shed's on fire, the shed's on fire." To which your instant reaction is, yeah, of course it is. Looked out the window, the shed was properly on fire. So rushed outside with our trusty little teeny tiny fire extinguisher, which turns out is not a great help with a 20-foot high blaze. Rachel called the fire brigade. Not just one, 2 fire engines. I'd set, and they think it was the exhaust from the strimmer that touched something, and of course there's paint and petrol and all the rest of it down there. So the shed went up, the back fence, the hedge, next door's fence, part of next door's back fence. Everything in the shed was incinerated. It was unrecognisable. The fire brigade, they're brilliant. They put it out in a few minutes, and then used a crowbar on everything to make sure it, turn it over and all the rest. So everything was utterly destroyed down there. So yeah, that's the story of the shed. So we had COVID, and we had plague, we had fire. We're kind of waiting for the frogs at the moment. We've had floods. It's sort of what's next.
I don't have any pictures, Ian. If I could have found them, I would have put them on the screen, but I don't have any pictures.
It's created a pretty vibrant picture. Sounds like we chuckle about it now, but sounds like a nightmare. I had a barbecue fire once, and that was traumatic enough. Rather than turn around, my shed's aflame. 2 appliances, you know, that's good service from the hello, the fire service doing a great job. That's superb that they came and left you with a load of cinders. Wow.
Yeah, no, they were brilliant. They turned up within, I don't know, it wasn't long, it was a few minutes, and it was out in a few minutes. So, but we've obviously replaced next door's fence and repaired everything there. We've got a lovely new shed, and we've got a nice big deck down the end, so you can sit and enjoy the view down there now. So
the shrubs are slowly regrowing and coming back to a bit of greenery as well. Iain, we always like to ask top tips from our experts who join us. Share your knowledge, skills, and expertise. Obviously, we're talking PR and marketing is your area. One top tip: what could someone do in their own business to raise their profile or, you know, make their business excel? What if you could give one top tip now? What would that be? On the spot.
I think for me it's consistency. Make sure write a plan. You've got to have a plan for your communications. It doesn't have to be wildly complicated. You know, it doesn't have to be reams and reams. You can do it as a one-pager so that everybody in your business understands how that they should be speaking. You know, if you're relaxed or corporate or whatever, understand your channels that you're speaking through, whether that's social media or the press or whatever, and make sure everybody understands what's expected of them. But consistency is key. So the messaging, the tone of voice, and the frequency needs to be consistent. You know, if you can only commit to writing one social media post, blog, whatever, a month, then commit to it and do it. Don't commit to writing one a week and then don't do it, because it will do you more harm to not do it than doing nothing. So, you know, commit to what you actually can deliver. And the other thing is, and this is a tip that I give to absolutely everybody, is when you're on social media, the world can see you, as we found out over the last week or so. Think of the way that you behave on social media on a scale of arriving at the pub and 2 hours later. When you arrive at the pub, that's the language that you should be using on social media, you know, polite, sensible, intelligent. 2 hours later, it's going to be slightly less so, probably. That's the point at which you do not pick up your social media ever. So have a think about, you know, when you're communicating as well, and you know, it's all about consistency and language. So that's my sort of tip. But have a plan is my top tip.
And Iain, if people want to get hold of you and find out more about PR, communications, and how to market their business, best way to get in touch?
Best way is visit our website. It's stonehousecomms.com, and all of our contact details are there.
Brilliant. Mr. Iain Wicks, you've got some great comments coming into the chat box. Mr. Paul Thorogood, good show again. Worked with Iain. Highly recommend his first-class service. Paul, you might see a check coming in the post from Iain for that, but yeah, I can highly recommend Iain and what he does and how he helps businesses. And Rachel has also popped in there, and think about what your customers want to hear. Learn about first, not just what you say. There is a difference, absolutely. Iain, once again, thank you very much. We will catch up with you again soon. Have a great Thursday.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
Cheers, Iain. Well, there we go, Nick. We are reaching that point. A minute or so to go, and the show is coming to a close.
I know it goes too quick. It goes too quick. I've got a sheet of paper here with the things I want to talk about, and it's much longer than the show. I'm not sure what we do about that. Loads of stuff to talk about still. But, you know, we've wasted our time with M&Ms and stuff like that.
Oh, but that's all
brilliant. Great themes coming from the show. You know, don't assume, listen. Conversation is definitely the way forward, and relationships. And great ideas from Iain. Be consistent, have a plan. You know, if we talked about we're going to be a weekly breakfast show and only manage one a month, it wouldn't be so good. You know, that's why we're back every Thursday. 8 o'clock in the morning, and soon a late night show coming for your enjoyment.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a couple of quick shout outs before we wave goodbye until next week. Don't forget the peer networks if you're looking for some free one-to-one support. The best growth hub in Essex or Southend can help you. They have a link. You can find that on our website. 18 hours support with some additional one-to-one support. And if you're friends of Networking Essex, here's an interesting one. We should have had a bit more time to talk about this, really, Nick. But they're going their first live face-to-face business expo today, which I think the doors open at 10 a.m. You do need to register, so please don't turn up. It's in Colchester at the big complex there, the hall, Charter Hall in the middle of Colchester. There's lots of businesses exhibiting. There's going to be people walking around, people talking. It is wear your mask event, and you do need to test negative if you're an exhibitor, and I believe they're suggesting that you test negative, do a lateral flow test if you want to go along as well. But what a great event. Face-to-face is coming back slowly but surely. But that's it. I think that's all we've got time for this week, Nick. So
I think so, mate. We didn't even talk about what National Day it was. Oddly enough,
come on, quick. What National Day is it?
It's Pet Fire Safety Day. Talking about Iain's shed. Okay. Appreciating the dangers of pets in the house alone, and it suggests have an escape plan. If you have a fire, who's rescuing your pet? And some people have stickers in their windows for the fire service. We also have a pet. So yeah, it's Pet Fire Safety Day. For all you pet lovers out there, have a plan.
Have a plan. Right, until next week, it's goodbye from me, David Bell.
Goodbye from me, Nick Luby.
Bye-bye.